Good morning, students. Hope you are all doing very well. Today we will study chapter 6 of Value Education. So open your books and come to page number 23. Let's study the chapter Kindness is Beautiful. What does it take to be kind as much as it takes to smile? So, what does it take to be kind? How do we become a kind person? Simply by smiling. And what do you get in return? At the very least, a smile, a word of appreciation, at the most, a lifetime of favors. So, by being kind, what do we get in return? People smile back at us, they appreciate us, and they can even be willing to help us to give us favors for our entire life. Gestures of kindness spread love and joy. A little sympathy, a show of affection, friendliness, love, all these do not cost anything. All these make life beautiful. So, if we are a kind person, we do acts of kindness, we spread joy and happiness in people's life. If we are sympathetic to people, we listen to them, we show affection, we care for them, we spread friendship and love, then all these things do not cost us anything. It does not take anything away from us, but it makes our life beautiful. It makes the world a better place to live. The princess who wanted to be beautiful. So let us study the lesson of kindness through a story, and the story is called The Princess Who Wanted to Be Beautiful. Once upon a time, there was a little princess who was unhappy because she was not as pretty to look at as she thought a little princess should be. So, this is a story of a little princess who was very unhappy, who was very sad because she thought she is not very pretty. She is not as pretty as other princesses are. One day, she sat in the garden and cried a lot. She was sure that she was not fit to be the queen. So, our little princess, she was sitting in the garden and she was crying a lot because she was sure, she felt that she is not fit enough to be a queen. As she was sitting, an old woman carrying a bundle passed along the roadside and looked over the wall. So, as our little princess was sitting in the garden and crying, there was an old woman who was passing through the road. She was carrying a bundle. She looked over the wall and she saw our little princess crying. "Why do you cry, little princess?" she asked. So the old woman asked the princess that why was she crying. "I am not beautiful," the little princess replied, "and so I shall never be made a queen." So the little princess, she replied to the old woman that she is not at all beautiful and she thinks because of this she will never be made a queen. "Why don't you go out in the world and find someone who can make you beautiful?" said the woman and continued on her way. So the old woman told the little princess that she should go outside, look in the world and find someone who could make her beautiful. She said this to the little princess and she started walking again. This seemed like a new adventure. The little princess went out through the garden gate and started down the road. So she followed the old woman's advice and she thought that it will be adventurous to go out and look for someone who can make her beautiful. So our little princess, she went out of the garden and she started walking to find someone who will make her beautiful. She came across a boy who was stumbling along the road as if it were hard for him to find his way. Stumbling means walking irregularly, unevenly. So, while she was looking for someone who can make her beautiful, our little princess came across a boy who was not able to find his way, who was stumbling, who was walking unevenly, and he could not find his way. He stretched his hands and touched the princess's silken sleeves. Silken sleeves, the sleeves which were made up of silk cloth. So our boy, he stretched his hand and by chance he touched the princess's silken sleeves. "Where are you going?" he asked. "I am going to find someone who will help in making me beautiful," she said. "I am not pretty enough to be a queen." So the boy, he asked our princess that where was she going. So the princess told him that she was going to find someone to make her beautiful so that she could become a queen. "Wait a while and help me. I am blind and cannot find my way home." So the boy requested the little princess to help him find his way to his home because he was blind and he was unable to find his way on his own. So the little princess took his hand and walked along with him, leading him very gently to where he lived. So our little princess, on getting to know that the boy was blind and he was unable to find his home, the little princess, he took his hand, he held his hand and he walked him all his way to his home. She took him where he used to live. The little princess went on quickly. So after our little princess dropped the blind boy at his home, she went on quickly to look for someone who could make her beautiful. Then she saw a little girl standing by the edge of the woods and crying. When the little girl saw the princess, she looked up and asked, "Where are you going?" So the princess saw a little girl who was standing at one side at one corner of the woods and she was really crying. When this little girl saw the princess going by, she looked up and she asked her that, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to find someone who will help in making me beautiful," she said. "I am not pretty enough to be a queen." So the little princess replied to the small girl that she was going to find someone who could make her beautiful so that she could become a queen. "Wait a while and help me," said the little girl. "My mother is ill and I went to fetch eggs and milk, but I have no money and they say I must pay." So little girl who was crying near the woods asked our princess to please help her because her mother was ill and she wanted to have some eggs and milk for her. But since the little girl did not have any money, she could not get eggs and milk. The little princess pulled a gold coin from her silk bag and gave it to her. "This is to pay for your milk and eggs," the princess said. So our little princess, she pulled a gold coin from her silk bag and she gave it to the little girl who was crying. And she told the little girl to get milk and eggs from that money. The little girl smiled with happiness. Her smile was as bright as sunshine. So this little girl, after receiving the money, she smiled happily and her smile was as bright, as beautiful as a sunshine. "Now I must make great haste," thought the little princess. "It is almost evening and I am no more beautiful than when I started." Haste means hurry or quickly. So the little princess thought that she should hurry up. She should quickly find someone who could make her beautiful because it was almost evening and she was no more beautiful than when she started. She was the same as when she started. Suddenly she came across the same old woman who had spoken to her in the morning. So our little girl, she came across the same woman, the old woman who had spoken to her about finding someone to make her beautiful in the morning in the garden while she was crying. The little princess wailed, "Oh, I could not find anyone who could make me beautiful." "What did you do?" the old woman asked. So the little princess, she was really unhappy and upset and she told the old woman that she could not find anyone who could make her beautiful. So the old woman asked her what she did. What did she do? The little princess narrated the events. The old woman smiled and held a mirror in front of her and said, "You have brightened up the lives along your way, brought smile and happiness." So the little princess, she told the old woman what all had happened that day. The woman smiled and she held a mirror in front of the princess. She said to the princess that she has brightened up. She had helped many people along the way today, and she had brought smile and happiness to so many people. You are a very kind girl, and see how beautiful you look. The old woman, she was holding a mirror in front of the princess, and she said, Princess, you are a very kind person. You are a very kind girl, and see, you look so beautiful. She felt very happy. She asked, Shall I ever be a queen? The old woman replied, You are a queen, my dear. So, little princess, she felt very happy, and she asked the old woman that will she ever get to be a queen? To this, the old woman replied that you are already a queen, my dear. The little princess, you are already a queen to us. That which is shining and beautiful is not always good, but which is good is always beautiful. So, children, it is not necessary that all the beautiful things or all the shiny things are good. But if some person is good, he or she is always beautiful. Lives of some great people are example of this. And the lives led by some great people are example that things which are good are always beautiful. Mother Teresa was a compassionate lady who showered love and care to the old, sick, homeless, poor and needy all her life. She was called the saint of the gutters. So one such example is of Mother Teresa. She was a very compassionate and loving person. She cared for everyone, and she was called the saint of gutters for that because she helped everyone who needed her at any point of life. Florence Nightingale, a kind-hearted lady, was sensitive to the suffering of the wounded British soldiers. She was called the Lady of the Lamp and was the founder of nursing profession. Another example of kind-heartedness is Florence Nightingale. She was very much concerned and worried about the sufferings of the British soldiers, and she was called as the Lady of the Lamp. She also founded the nursing profession. She used to nurse the wounded British soldiers. We respect Florence Nightingale and Mother Teresa, and they remain in our hearts as the most beautiful people who ever lived. So every one of us respect and love Florence Nightingale and Mother Teresa, and they remain in our hearts forever as two most beautiful people who ever lived and who dedicated their lives to help the people who were suffering. Kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. Mother Teresa. So Mother Teresa said that kind words can be short. They can be short and they are easier to say, but their echoes are forever. People always remember our kind words and our kind gestures we did to them. So students, I hope you understood the importance of kindness and you will always follow the path of kindness and concern towards others. Please read this chapter once again.